Santiago de los Caballeros in the Dominican Republic and Estadio Cibao. It is a gorgeous day, which will likely see a bit of rain and certainly plenty of humidity, as matchup number one features Violette of Haiti to take on Waterhouse of Jamaica. Mike Watts welcoming you. This should be an extraordinary day of Caribbean football. We've got a Dominican derby of sorts to follow with Cibao taking on Atlético Vega Real. We've got this Waterhouse side from Jamaica preparing to take on Violette. It is so far been a tournament of many twists and ups and downs. An Archive side from Haiti that most pinned to be one of the final four, eliminated before the final match day. A Violette side that for much of the final match day thought they would be on the outside looking in, are very much on the other end. They are very much alive as we enter these semifinal matches. We've talked often throughout this tournament to this point about what lies in store for those who do advance from this tournament. Yes, there is the Caribbean trophy that you hope you can lift come Sunday night. But regardless of whether you win or lose this game, you'll play on Sunday. Here's why. The top three finishers from this competition move directly into the next level of Concacaf competition. The winner gets the lone direct pass into Champions League in the spring of 2023. And as we just saw in Seattle, there can be really extraordinary outcomes in Champions League. Nearly 70,000 packed into the venue in Seattle, Washington, as they defeated Pumas Unam in the Champions League final earlier this month. The two teams that finish either as the losing finalist or the winner of the third place game, they go directly to CONCACAF League. That's the direct route into Champions League for the rest of the region that does not qualify directly. So CONCACAF League awaits the second and third place team. Bayamon is watching this as a very intent viewer right now. The Puerto Rican side, through their performance in the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Shield, the winner of that tournament will face the fourth place team out of this tournament in the CONCACAF League playoff, which is set to be played a week from yesterday, May the 25th. So just by making your way through this tournament, you put yourself in the possibility of facing a major team from the United States, Canada, or Mexico. If you finish second or third, you've got a very clear path into the top six in that tournament and into Champions League. And of course, a year from now, the entire format of qualification for Champions League in this region will change drastically for the better. Far more teams will be capable of reaching Champions League than ever before. As for the matchup that lies in store here in Game 1, the Jamaican side, Waterhouse, defensively impenetrable. It's been over 500 minutes since they've conceded a goal. And at this stage, Fuzzy Gale has to feel really good putting Kamar Foster back in goal that the group can continue that torrid defensive form. No better team in Jamaica scoring, no better team in Jamaica defending. They currently lead the table in Jamaica as they left for this tournament. You have to say, as at this stage they're now 14 unbeaten in this competition, that they should feel right at home, even the Dominican Republic. They knocked off Archive, the other Haitian side, 2-0 in their opener, and they drew Vega Real in the finale. That led them to Group B winner position. Meanwhile, for Violette, the Group A runner-up, we've talked ad nauseum perhaps to some about Group A's strength and power in theory. That was the group with all three of the champions from Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. It doesn't mean they were the best teams in this tournament, but it does mean they were the best teams in the most recent domestic season. So for Violette, they're able to advance by way of Cavaliers' undoing. It was a bit shocking, to be honest. Cavalier led 2-0 against Cibao. They ended up leading 3-1 after conceding shortly out of halftime. Two two-goal leads. They call it the most dangerous lead in soccer for a reason. They end up collapsing down the stretch. They played down to 10 men, and they just looked like they had nothing left to give. It was a Cavaliers side that had dealt with COVID issues and so many injuries, and it just felt ultimately that they couldn't get back over the hump and provide a really difficult outcome for Cibao. As a result, Violette's win over Cavalier, 3-2, enough on 3 points to see them by Cavalier, who, while they drew the match, only have 1 point. That makes them runners-up in Group A. As for what lies here, who knows? It's a Waterhouse side perhaps in the best form of any team in this competition in their domestic league and since arriving here in the Dominican Republic. It's a Violette side that on the last day got into this tournament, and in their third appearance in the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship, look to reach the finale for the first time. The teams have taken the field. It is the Concacaf anthem that will welcome them now. From prying eyes in Puerto Rico to the fascinated in the Dominican Republic to the enthralled in Haiti and Jamaica, we welcome you to this semifinal in the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship. There is Waterhouse, their photos taken. Violette now will watch the cameraman scurry over in their direction. Let's look at the lineup for Marcel Fuzzy Gale. He's only had to make one change. It's the goalkeeper. They rotated Akeem Chambers in last game. They do keep Damian Binns in the starting 11. He replaced Malik Cockings after the first game. Melvin Herrera of Honduras has officiated in this tournament already and will continue to do so in this first semifinal. Captains meeting Ramon Howell and Steven Sabat. There's the Violette lineup under Ronnie Atami. Steve Sano remains in goal. This is a lineup with one change. It's due to Parima's yellow card accumulation. So the Venezuelan out, Danny Camille into the lineup. This is a lineup for the Haitian side made up entirely of Haitian nationals. There is rain starting to come down here in the Dominican Republic. In theory, on this turf surface, this ball should fly, and these teams are ready to fly as well. Waterhouse has been to final after final, and all they've tasted is disappointment on that stage. They've reached Champions League before. They have a chance to reach one step closer to Champions League, ashore of placing CONCACAF League with a win. Whereas for Violette, their first final could await on Sunday in this tournament. Past winners of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. The referee Herrera waits the signal for the opening whistle. And this first semifinal is underway in the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship from Estadio Cibao. It is Waterhouse of Jamaica taking on Violette of Haiti. Group B champion from Jamaica, the Group A runner-up from Haiti. Two countries that on the grandest international stages have certainly proven their value in recent years. Haiti's tremendous Gold Cup run in 2019 thrilled that country and the Caribbean as well. Jamaica, 2017, 2019 Gold Cup finals. You do get the feeling, however, that these countries are excited to enrich the club level in their countries and to show the rest of the region just how good they can be. Ball rolls over for Waterhouse. All the way into the final third, that's ushered all the way back, and Steve Sano takes over. He's played in the Haitian youth national team previously. Trouble for Waterhouse. They've claimed this. They don't come out in midfield, struck ahead, and that's behind the striker. You see a good amount of Andre Moulton in the attack. Ball swung across. Good sliding effort to send that away for Violette. Decent opening salvo for Waterhouse in these first 2 minutes. Fuzzy Gale looks on. Experienced in this competition for sure. The stage certainly not too big for the Waterhouse manager. Pierre. Snagged by Foster. On a winning club but didn't play for Portmore United in 2019 when that Jamaican side won this Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club title. James to throw. It was Lambert defending. Kamani Campbell will step forward. His 6th year playing for this Waterhouse side. Offside flag, the enemy of Waterhouse. The pressure, Violette will take possession. An injured Waterhouse player back behind the play. That may be James. And a stoppage with Denilson Pierre on the ball. And the athletic trainer is going to get called out here. You do hope it's nothing all that significant. Simpson runs over to his manager. It's just so early in the match. Steven Sabah inches around. James back up. Such a talented player and such an integral piece for Waterhouse in what was a pretty decent 0-0 draw against Vega Real. There were chances in that game. Referee stopped play, so the referee will drop that out in front of the player who was on it most recently, Pierre, and back to play. I'll go as far as to suggest very likely we'll see a near or complete capacity crowd later tonight when Atletico Vega Real and Cibao, the grand finalists of a year ago, match up for a place in the Caribbean final. Some fans might get here early, try and claim a seat. Pierre driving through. Luima, play stopped as Georges sent it tailing toward target. And the injured player is Thomas. Stepped over the ball, Luima did, and right onto Thomas's foot. That didn't look like any malice. Waterhouse shows a number of ways to be dangerous, but they can, in fact, get behind quite well with those runs tucking in either around the outside back or in between the center back and the outside back on either side. Here's Thomas. Moulton and threaded through, laid across. That clearance left, work to be done, and it's in! It's Waterhouse. It's 8 minutes into the game. And the Jamaicans open the scoring in simple fashion. Andre Moulton. Well, he started this play, and it nearly fell apart at Bradford's feet as he reached the end line. And the service from Thomas, a looping header to an entirely unmarked player. He tried to pass that off. And Moulton ended up just walking through as if he were invited. And in the 7th minute, a blistering start for Waterhouse among their first attacking efforts of the game. Ball floated forward here. Maybe there's an early response for Violette. Bit of trouble to carry this away, but Binns does the job. Floated forward dangerously once more. Sets down for the attempt to cycle that toward goal. And lifted away by Roberto Luima. He's got 4 caps with Haiti. Stevenson Jadi, the 17-year-old forward, does have some experience around the national team. Hasn't capped for them. Scooped up and away by Foster. And a Waterhouse foul. And Wendy St. Felix remains down. Acquired back in January after reportedly months of ongoing negotiations. Saba on the ball. 2020 he was with Montreal Impact, and it was during the COVID pandemic. He went out on, was described as a routine jog. Ball forward. That's touched aside. Served across once more. And Waterhouse siphons that off 25 yards from goal. Still Violette. Saba ultimately broke his foot. For Thierry Henry's men, it was a massive loss. They brought him in over the offseason following a good run at the Concacaf Gold Cup. Never did fully get to find out what Steven Saba can do. He captains this Violette side. That header allows Violette a little bit of space to swing a shot. An appeal there for a handball. And a solid challenge at the halfway line. Supporting the width. Ball across. Jadi there. Ball in behind. A good leading touch and an even better response than the foul committed. All eyes on Bradford up front. He had a very quiet performance last time out. In Jamaica, however, his numbers have been truly solid. Second to test the goalkeeper, won't come close. Taken by Violette. And this from 40 yards asks Foster some real questions, and he had the answer. Danny Camille moving into the starting 11 due to a yellow card accumulation suspension. Most certainly would have put that under the bar. Whipped across, header down. And Waterhouse settles here, approaching the quarter-hour mark. An 8th-minute goal from Andre Moulton. Moulton there. Ball in behind and very much onside. That header allows Moulton in here. Approaching the end line, overcooked the cross. Injured Waterhouse player, and Violette continues unimpeded. They've threaded this long, and Luima will watch this out. A yellow card's going to come out. Wendy St. Felix, it appears. Only the referee allowed that to play for a while. winding inward. It's a line of 5 Violette players. And now they begin to break. Pierre. Pierre will take over. That skipped over the foot of Simpson. And that service is lifted up and over, and the last touched by Violette and an injured Juddy. He's gone back up. It appears he simply took a tough fall on this Estadio Cibao surface. Chosen this left flank time and time again. Pierre, Luima, Pierre again. That's sent back to touch. Bend but don't break to this point. You see Dijon. 2 goals against Cavalier. Georges scored as well. 3-2 victory. They fell 3-0 to Cibao. Of course, it was a bit more of a frenzied atmosphere, the game being played here at Estadio Cibao. Pierre, caught by Foster. Saba. He's looking for some movement. You'll see Saba move all over the field. Within this system, he's largely got the green light. Folding in inside the outside back. Delicate prance through pressure. And now the service swung. It's going to escape the end line. Dijon starting to find a little more action in this game. And Saba will hit the corner. That's another decent header for Violette. Nothing's really challenged except for a 35-yard effort from Danny Camille. Oh, this is promising for Violette. Foster, it got under him and in. It's an equalizing goal. For Violette, by hook or by crook. Foster must be devastated in this moment, but it is an equalizer. Roberto Luima continued to slalom through, and for Foster, that is a huge regret. Violette pole level. '22nd minute, first of the tournament. And for Waterhouse, 522 minutes without conceding a goal, and that's the one that ultimately squeaks through. And so they begin again. I hope it's another 500 before they concede next. And suddenly this first of two semifinals is wide open again. Pierre. All the way back to Sano. Header snap free. George working through midfield. Thrust in behind, but Waterhouse recovers through Howell. Clip forward, flag is down, and a corner won by Waterhouse. Finally something of value to show for Cardell Bembo's efforts to this point. And there's Ricardo Thomas. He featured in both Concacaf League campaigns for Waterhouse in 2019 and 2020. Thomas, streak underneath. Simpson was fouled. And Saba is the one who appeared to take the most brunt from that. Good to see both Saba and the players fouled. Simpson able to continue. That's Damian Binns. In theory, you are in range to simply go for goal, but the way he's lining this up, yes, a flick to the back post and a header in front, and it bounces calmly to Sano, who throws as far as he can muster. Haiti, the reigning champion in the Haitian League. Violette just at this stage polling level in the last 5 minutes. Bounces off the referee. That pass appeared a bit off the mark regardless. That's not the discretion that the referee gains. It'll be a drop for Curlins George. Luima sets that up for a blast. This time Foster equal to the task. Saba, the trailing run that time. St. Felix will drop it back, and Violette begins again. He got to the semifinal in 2009. They did lose the third place game. This year trying to rewrite history. Ball in behind. Bounces to Seno. Those could be the moments in this game for Waterhouse. You'll see those center backs split. Horacius pulling a bit wide. Ball lofted into Luima. Molden. And asks questions to the center back. It continues through James. Benbow on the opposite side. It's blocked effectively. Benbow with a slight push. Howell. Bouncing ball recovered off the deflection by Steve Sano. See, the stands are beginning to fill a little bit here. There is plenty of residual excitement for Game 2. The second semifinal from the host nation and, well, the host venue. Atletico Vega Real taking on the namesake of this venue, Cibao. This is good from Violette, but it ends in the clutches of Foster. It's the latest effort upfield off the right from Dijon. Pirouetting through midfield. And the run broken up. Appeals unheard. Player for Violette remains down. You can see the gesture there from Binns to send that out to touch. Elvis Wilson looking down. It was a really good run from Jeudi. It appears more than anything he lost his own footing there. Let's see if those legs get tangled up. Certainly not enough for a free kick. Well taken. We've seen bright moments from this edge from Dijon. The return here from Georges. Back by James. Referee showed advantage. That played out as far as it could. Now space to run in for 4 blue shirts. The early ball denied with the foot of Shaquille Bradford. Is there room here? Certainly not. Jeudi swarmed, but the second time he's able to break away with the ball at his feet. Jeudi out to Luima. Luima the cutback. Georges. Support trailing crossfield from Camille. And the service, Luima nods that down. Seeking Jeudi. That's Elvis Wilson. He hopes he'll be in Jamaica celebrating a berth in Champions League by the time his birthday comes around. He'll turn 27 on the 25th. As opposed to the alternative, facing Bayamon of Puerto Rico, should this Waterhouse side finish 4th. That head comes back and the shoulder, perhaps the left shoulder of the leaning striker, Jeudi, into Wilson. Pierre with an additional shove after the fact. And the frustration starting to plume from these teams, perhaps. A couple more heavy challenges in the air. That's Binns. And now Foster. And outside of those long diagonal or long straight balls here from Waterhouse and the build-up through pretty vacant space in front of the back line from Waterhouse when they do expand. This game's gotten a tidge quiet. The collision allows Waterhouse to pour forth. Bembo's effort to thread that through didn't lead to anything. Binns. Good to see Wilson only able to continue after the knock he took a few moments ago. Down goes Oraceus. Oraceus spent a little bit of time in Armenia, a little bit of European adventure for the defender. Still 7 minutes to halftime. Luima's latest. And a dynamic slide to win it back for Waterhouse. The turn, the touch, the corner, Waterhouse. Cardell Bembo. Bembo, that's going to get over Wilson. This will be a throw. Wilson awaits. Thrown in by Thomas. Thomas tried to sweep that under. It is kept, however. Howell. Contact, referee, gestures, free kick. Inches outside the penalty area. Oh, and that contact, it's the final effort in. Ultimately sees James to ground. Oraceus finishing a job that perhaps started in the penalty area, but certainly was finished outside. And all of a sudden, Simpson and Binns stand over the ball. And for Sano, this is a hugely critical moment. That wall really needs to be perfect, and then you have to trust it. Thomas has entered the fray as well. It does appear Simpson is most inclined. It'll be Binns. That's held by Sano. That's not a poorly taken free kick at all. And for Sano, strong hands to hold on to that. He's going to get over Bembo. Whistle goes against Luima. As we approach halftime, is there a go-ahead goal? Bembo tried to bring it down. George turns. Space still, forklifted forward all the way to the end line. Stabbed down, and Foster. Excellent recovery from the goalkeeper to help out. Moulton scored in the 8th minute. He just sent that ball across. Roberto Luima in the 22nd equalized for Violette in this Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship semifinal. The winner will play on Sunday against the winner of Cibao and Atletico Vega Real. Herrera seems satisfied. Saba's influence is demeaned with time. Plays forward the free kick. Swept over. Saba across. Pierre. Camille. Flicked over the top, and the span on the turf carried that away. Jean's got a smile on his face. What's he to do? Who knew that George could put that much English on it? 2 added minutes. Hasn't been a tournament without its late twists and turns. Atletico Vega Real did score a stoppage time goal. George for Violette, the 7th minute of first half stoppage in their second game. That proved to be a vital goal against Cavalier. At the time, it merely put them ahead. Violette does have the latest result-changing goal in this group stage before the semifinals. Georges. I'll take us to the stroke of halftime. Kerlin's Georges playing in Champions League with Don Bosco. Did start twice against Monterrey, which anytime you can see Rayados up close and personal, you've got a pretty good grip on the upper reaches of Concacaf. And the halftime whistle arrives in the Dominican Republic. Not separated yet in this semifinal. Luima, the equalizer, 22nd minute. Andre Moulton in the 8th. And Waterhouse and Violette level at halftime here at Estadio Cibao. Waterhouse showing off the direct nature of their play at their best. Violette has been far more methodical, working through wide areas and occasionally taking advantage of significant gaps between the defensive line and the midfield line for Waterhouse. And yet, with two very contrasting styles, still we remain on level terms. Halftime at Estadio Cibao in the semifinal of the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship. Violette 1, Waterhouse 1. Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship semifinal number 1. Waterhouse creating opportunities here from the outset. And in the 8th minute of play, they find their go-ahead goal. Moulton does much of the work. The cutback ball is deflected into Thomas's path, and he sends it across. An easy finish for Moulton, who does well to finish the play. 1-0 Waterhouse. A few good chances. Foster, an excellent save to tip this over from long range from Danny Camille. It would be something far more innocuous that would ultimately stymie the Jamaican goalkeeper. Now lifted over on the run by Jody. Now watch this. Good thievery in midfield. Able to streak away from Simpson. And Luima squeaks it underneath the distraught Foster. And Luima opens the scoring. Maybe it just took a weird skip, but it's a disaster. Moments later, a bit of atonement. Bins a free kick from the edge of the penalty area. The last good chance for Waterhouse in the first half. So this first semifinal on level terms after 45 minutes. There's no extra time, merely penalties that lie ahead should they be necessary. But for now, the side from Haiti and the side from Jamaica in this first semifinal cannot be separated. Violette 1, Waterhouse 1. The Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship rolls on. The second half of our first semifinal set to commence here in moments. 1-1 between Waterhouse of Jamaica and the Haitian side Violette from Estadio Cibao in Santiago de los Caballeros in the Dominican Republic. Whistle blows, sending us into the second half, and the Jamaicans, bit late out of their huddle, expand into shape as this second half begins. Waterhouse in blue, Violette in white. Ball chipped aside. And here comes Waterhouse. They scored just over 7 minutes into the match, Waterhouse did. 15 minutes later, they conceded the equalizer. Luima. Slide in to keep it here for Violette, and that's searching for the back post. Will come whiskers wide of Foster. Dijon was the hero the first time around against Cavalier, the win in the group stage, and he's come out firing to start the second half. Luima's 22nd minute goal, a bit of a howler for the goalkeeper. Andre Moulton, a bit of a howler defending. Devoy Gray apparently come on at halftime. That struck off target. It was James who came off. The give and go broke down, but it continues here for Waterhouse all the way to the end line, and Sanol sticks that to the ground. Good to see Pierre back up. Something probably occurred there with the numbers racing in. He was reaching for his foot. He'll continue on. And Sanol lies this up. There's appeals for a foul. Bembo apparently did nothing wrong here, and what's more, it's a throw for Waterhouse. There's a crowd. That's Saba. St. Felix. Lambert for Orasius. Waterhouse does seem intent to find the opener here in this second half. Pressing higher up the field than we saw at the tail end of the first. Dijon. Foul from Howell. Beg your pardon, that's Campbell getting the talking to, Kamani Campbell. I would suggest not getting caught cheating if you're Foster. Camille had a really spirited effort at target in the first half in the run of play. Camille Foster drops that down to ground and, as usual, quickly distributes. Campbell. Over the top. And enough contact to separate player from ball, but not nearly enough for the referee to give it any mind. Physio is going to pay a visit. They've waved the athletic trainer back. Referee checking to make sure that Renato Lambert can continue. Apparently satisfied. Luima. The defense on Luima, large in part, has been pretty good. One goal he scored, part due to Foster's trouble collecting the shot, but also came through midfield as opposed to in that wide area. We haven't really seen Luima all that dangerous out there. Pierre. Touchdown line. Pierre. Complete the diagonal. St. Felix. Foster certainly would have had that under control. St. Felix again. Brought down in the area. Foster leaps aside. He's spared having to make a save. Jody brought that down, and what effort that is. Narrowly off target. Now this crowd is starting to grow in numbers. So that seemed to send a real shock into the crowd that's assembled. Good ball through. Goalkeeper came out. And Sano will watch this over the line. Didn't make contact with Gray. Ball finds the other side. Luima. As far as a drive to Santiago de los Caballeros, which is on the northern portion of the island in the Dominican Republic, from Port-au-Prince in Haiti, only about 450 kilometers. As the crow flies, not nearly as significant. But if you cross over closer to Santo Domingo and then go north, you can see somewhere between a 7.5 and a 9.5 hour drive from the Haitian capital to the second largest city in the Dominican Republic. George Foster. And yet you get the feeling here that the fans are pulling for Violette. Perhaps that's just the side ahead, knowing that in order to see Cibao and Vega Real on this field, this match first must conclude. That's a Waterhouse foul. Ball struck across, and this header is going to angle back the other way. Violette very much on the front foot here to start this second half of play. George, take that space. Vital intervention. What a play by Elvis Wilson. Pirouetting at the top of the 18, angling wide. Little angle out of play. So often Waterhouse has been intent on getting quick restarts. That is not the case right now. It's going to bounce free. Waterhouse has something blossoming here. Massive collision. What a tackle. Still bypassing Simpson, lifting over the top. Flag is up, offside. bad run from Shaquille Bradford. And an even better save, although it wouldn't have counted either way, from Sano, who was shaken up in the process. Brantford did feature in that Concacaf League match against Arkai. Waterhouse opened up this tournament against the side that eliminated them from the 2020 Concacaf League, and did so in blazing style, a 2-0 victory. Concluded the group stage with a 0-0 draw with Atlético Villarreal of the Dominican Republic in what could be defined as the runners-up group, although that's simply the way the draw went rather than the way it was potted in advance. George. St. Felix. Saba. It's coming with more fury now. Dangerously across. That needed just a finishing touch. And Violette beginning to move with great intensity. George been far more potent. The early service. Well, that couldn't have worked out any better. You understand Foster's concern there, the way that was kicked back, that it was very much an intentional back pass. So he lines it off the player from Violette, and actually a bit lucky to see it bounce right back to him. Thomas. Ricardo Thomas. Waterhouse even had 3 or 4 completed passes in a row in this half. Doesn't feel that way. Wide here for Violette. St. Felix. Uproarious applause. Space was created off that delicate switch of play, and Violette again takes over. That won't test Foster. Pulled in by Campbell. Campbell steps inside. Bembo running through midfield. Instead, the ball across is handled by Sano with ease. And how quickly he can throw this out. Run from Dijon. First denied. Now George plays it the other way. Dijon. Injured players, Bradford. There's a change coming for Waterhouse. Donardo Thomas waits with the fourth official. Bradford continues to be looked at here. Well, there's the change. It is Bradford. Still, Bradford hasn't found a goal in this tournament. And in comes Donardo Thomas, the 28-year-old midfielder. If anything right now, you need a stopgap far more than you need a striker. Good defending by Wilson. Wilson's been a bright spot here in this first semifinal of the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship. The winner guarantees at minimum a place in the Concacaf League in the fall, which offers a number of ways with which to qualify into Champions League. Arriving into the top six. Being in the semifinal of that tournament are the best losing quarterfinalists. Does, of course, leave open the possibility of a long-awaited continental sub-regional crown here in the Caribbean to be the best club in the Caribbean, lift the Flow CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championship trophy, which neither of these teams have done, and advance directly to Champions League in the spring. Now, Violette has won the CONCACAF Continental title. It was back in 1984. At that point in time, the Caribbean was the real power in the Champions Cup. The 70s and 80s saw a really diverse population of teams. Since then, it's basically just been Mexico. Although Costa Rica, some of the Central American clubs have made themselves heard in the Champions League era and prior. And now the United States, after a 2-decade-plus long wait, have arrived at that point. It's a Violette team that hasn't appeared in the top Concacaf club competition in 28 years, dating back to 1994, the predecessor to the Champions League era. So another 20 minutes, put themselves in position to reach the final. Good slicing diagonal. Foster will collect it in front of Luima. Thomas. Sano. Substitution for Violette. Gilov Archulus comes in. Luima comes off. He has the equalizer. Can't say it wasn't aided and abetted, but an equalizer nonetheless back in the 22nd minute. Angling wide. Nothing there for Waterhouse. It's Kamani Campbell. And one would think we're gradually inching toward these goalkeepers, beginning to think about the possibility of penalties. Through here, Violette. St. Felix. Header down. Save Foster, and now over the line. Violette lead. In the final 20 minutes, Violette put themselves in position to move on to the final. And the assembled crowd loves it. It was Dijon setting this up. St. Felix getting the cross in. Initially the save was good, but the spin carries it over the line. And what a dynamic leaping header. What a price paid. And what a moment for Violette. Stevenson Juddy in the 73rd minute. The 17-year-old has likely scored the biggest goal of his young career. And after all that pressure, Violette finally has their reward. Goodness, they waited long enough. The service ensuing. That's going to skim out off a Waterhouse head. Such a picturesque ball there. Well, it's 15 minutes to glory now for Violette. Atletico Villarreal and Cibao matching up in the second semifinal. The third place game still carries with it the chance at Concacaf League. But Violette is in position to potentially reach back to Caribbean club glory of yesteryear. Well-worked Violette. Angling forward. And that is a regrettable conclusion because Dijon is left entirely alone. Well, Waterhouse has to find what made them good in that first half. They were pinging 50-yard balls into dangerous positions, and they haven't done that at all in the second half of play. Brought down Campbell. Now danger persisting. Large swath of orange-clad fans in the bleachers now. Surely in favor of their beloved Cibao. And the goal scorer, Jadi, being looked at here. He's from Dalmas in Haiti. Called up into the national team. He's been in that mix, but at the age of 17 might be more one for the future. George. Violette, who come off an additional couple days of rest, appear to be running ragged. Bouncing ball off that clearance, still left something to be desired. Falls 30 yards from goal. Chipped into the bleachers. Serious is this for Wendy St. Felix. Featured in both Concacaf League and Champions League previously. A lot of experience in the 24-year-old fullback. All right, watches St. Felix. Started to inch toward the ground. He's going to stay on for now. There's an appeal from the Violette bench. Might be time for his number to hit the board. Lambert Helps to usher that out. Yep. So Felix comes off. Lutherson comes in. And no time like the present for Waterhouse. They have to start flexing their muscles here if they're going to have any chance to come back. Simpson off, Leslie on. Saw Stephen Williams in as well. Maybe there's something here for Waterhouse. Heavy rebound. And taken in by Sano. In front of DeVroy Gray. Leslie a little overambitious with George. Turn from George and floated upfield for Dijon. Dijon. Dijon played in by Lutherson. And ahead from George. Lutherson throws in. Well, the crowd appears heavily in favor of this Violette side at Estadio Cibao. Whether it's the Cibao fans cheering for the side they want to see, or simply rooting for this game to end in 90 as opposed to the roulette of penalties. Perhaps fans from Haiti making the trip across. Jamaicans still trying to make something of this here in this semifinal. This will be Beetle. Andre Moulton comes off. 7th minute goal. That was the go-ahead. Lasted 15 minutes time. One more goal for Violette would feel like the dagger. Salah uncorks. Rebound falls. Blasted in. The final is very much in sight now for Violette. The Haitian supporters enjoy an extraordinary moment. Saba unleashing, and it's a second of the day for Jadi. He scores what's likely to be the winner. And now he doubles his money. '86th minute, Jadi's got 2 in less than a quarter hour time. It was Dijon who was the hero against Cavalier. Off his line. The denial of the ball back in from Campbell. Diagonal, not there for Waterhouse. Not there for Leslie. That's enough. Fabrice Vedrine will replace George, who covered so much ground, so physical, great playmaking presence in midfield. Dijon comes off. Sherry comes in. Don't forget Johnny Parima is set to return, the Venezuelan from yellow card suspension. And it's a good display of the depth here of Violette to make changes, knowing that they will play an all-important final on Sunday if they can just hold this 2-goal lead for another few minutes. For Waterhouse, don't abandon hope yet. Perhaps there's still a way back here, but even if there isn't, we'll go on potentially to face in the third place game the loser of our late semifinal, Cibao and Atletico Vega Real, with a spot in Concacaf League still on the line. And what's more, should they fall again Sunday, there is always the Shield winner, Bayamon, and would await on the other side. Three added minutes. Waterhouse is still seeking a miracle. Campbell. Into the penalty area, and this will ricochet free for a corner. It's difficult to say a team needs to be perfect, but at this point, Waterhouse will need to be perfect. Bernardo Thomas will have another look. Going short. They seek a bit of space. The run out is on. But quelled. The Violette supporters can taste it now. Their first final in the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship. Waterhouse into the final third, into the penalty area, touched away. It's a corner. For Waterhouse, it's precious time that elapses, even if they get the opportunity. Williams will lob that toward the corner. Jadi remains down. There's about 40 seconds remaining before Jadi went down. Thomas. Chance to recycle. Kept in on the touchline. Referee's taking a first look at the watch. It's a matter of seconds now for Violette. And that is full time. Violette are headed to the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship Final. A spirited second-half effort that sees Stevenson Juddy the hero. And Waterhouse falls into the third-place game on Sunday. Violette will have their chance at Caribbean Club glory and a place at the table in Champions League. For Waterhouse, it's difficult to put that pain in some measure of context. They led in the 7th minute and concede 3 unanswered. And the Haitian faithful will likely stick around for the second game, if only to see who their beloved club will see in the final. What a story, this Violette side. Surely eliminated. Cavalier 2 goals up. And they just held on to the lead against Cibao. Violette would be out altogether. And instead, Violette gets in the dying minutes of the group stage as they watch from afar. And now win their semifinal to reach Sunday's championship final against the winner of Cibao and Atletico Vega Real. And glory for one side means misery for the other. It finishes at Estadio Cibao, Violette 3, Waterhouse 1. Violette on to the final in the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship. All right, let's take you through the highlights of this Concacaf Club Caribbean Championship semifinal. The opening goal comes in the 7th minute of play. It's poor marking. Moulton started it all the way to Bradford at the end line. The deflection ultimately benefits Thomas, who finds Moulton on the other side. 7th minute of play, 1-0 to Waterhouse. It would be a quick response in a number of different fashions. First, it's that long-range effort from Danny Camille, lifted over by Foster. It's the effort from Pierre to serve the middle. It wouldn't be that man's time yet. Juddy remained down for a moment after that challenge. But after the giveaway by Simpson, a comedy of errors that results in the ball leaking by Foster. And Luima in the 22nd minute pulls Violette level, 1 goal apiece. Luima would continue to be an influential figure. That's Saba attempting from distance. In the second half, the chances would certainly favor Violette. Bins, one of the last good chances for Waterhouse. There were a number of chances off this right side. Dijon seeking glory. Watch that whistle wide of Foster. And then the onslaught truly began. That effort narrowly off frame. Not a bad effort by any means. Waterhouse would try and grab the advantage. Donardo Thomas hoping to create. And then Violette the breakthrough. For Foster, that's one he'd like to have back. The spin off the header from Juddy, just too much. If it just leaked to the other side of the post, what a different game it would have been. But St. Felix, the service, and it would just narrowly get over the line. 2-1 Violette. And Juddy would seal the deal just over 10 minutes later in the 86th. Stevenson Juddy settled. He got by Damian Binns. He delivers. Well, it would make it 3-1 to Violette. And the face, the exultation tells the story all its own. Violette onto the final in the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Club Championship in 3-1 fashion over Waterhouse.